Welcome to the Authentic You podcast with Luis Bazan. After 25 years as an accountant and transitioning into property rental investment, I found my true passion, helping you discover your purpose, unlock your potential, and design the life of your dreams. This podcast is dedicated to empowering you with the tools and mindset needed to achieve freedom, purpose, and financial independence. Join me on this journey of personal growth, spiritual enhancement, and living an epic life. Let's dive in and create the life you were meant for. Our guest today, Javier Peña. Javier's leadership journey began in 1997 when he was hired to lead a choir of individuals with mental and physical disability who had never sung or played instrument before. They defied all expectation and transformed into a dynamic performing band. Their remarkable story was captured in the award-winning film For Once in My Life, now streaming on Amazon Prime. The film was selected by the U.S. State Department for worldwide screening and led to an invitation to the White House. After 15 years with this group, Javier discovered that music reveals powerful leadership principles that transcends traditional boundaries. From this insight, he created Leading in Tune, a leadership development program integrating leadership and music principles rooted in neuroscience research on music and the brain. His program has influenced national nonprofit and Fortune 500 companies, helping leaders integrate music principles to lead their teams like an orchestra and create a culture based on harmony. Welcome to the Authentic You podcast. This is your host, Luis Bazan, and I am honored today to have a special guest. Our guest today is a conductor, speaker, and he plays piano like an angel. Emotional maestro of the human spirit. Help me welcome Javier Peña.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here with you, Luis. Thank you.
I was impressed with your presentation. St. Pete Beach Toastmaster meeting. And later on, I saw the movie for once in my life, and wow, it's amazing. I cry because it's very emotional.
Yeah, it's an emotional story. Yeah,
it's beautiful because how you turn people who didn't know nothing about instrument, nothing at all. They weren't musician, and you turn into this dynamic orchestra. Where do you come from before? You start all this project in 1997. I want to know where you come from and a little bit about your beginnings.
Yeah, thank you again for the invitation. It's really a pleasure to be with you and your audience. I was born and raised originally in Caracas, Venezuela. I studied music there and moved to the United States in 1995. I was already had my degree in music and was looking for another degree here in film and television production, which eventually I completed. While I was here, I was going to school. One day I received a phone call from a friend who was telling me about this part-time position. They were looking for a choir director. At the time, I had a young child. 2 years was my son, and as a new immigrant, was trying to make my way here.
It's difficult,
and I was going.
guess.
Yeah. And I was working different jobs and going to school, and I got this opportunity. So I went to the job interview. My friend didn't give me details. He said, well, they're looking for a choir director. It's a part-time position. Just call this person and go there. When I got there, that's when I realized the choir they had it was a traditional choir they had for many years. It was part of the recreational program of the people who work at the factory. And the people who work at the factory were people with mental and physical disabilities. because I was a trained musician at the time. I said, "Well, yeah, absolutely, I can do this job." But when I got and I saw the choir that was made up of people with mental and physical disabilities, I said, I don't even know how to communicate with these people. To be honest, Louis, at that time in my life, I haven't even had a meaningful conversation with someone with a disability. And I said, this job
No
is not for me.
experience, no experience at
No,
all.
I don't know what to do this job. But something happened when I got into the practice room that was part of the interview process. There was a black piano there that barely kept tuning, and they were there again, people with Down syndrome, autism, intellectual disabilities, visual impairments, cerebral palsy, all kinds of disabilities. They were there. The piano was there. I got there. I was nervous. I didn't know what to do. I started to play. So when I started to play, something happened. They started to smile.
Whoa.
And suddenly the piano became our translator, our bridge of connection. And at that moment, the disabilities that existed disappear.
Beautiful.
It was a moment of connection between human beings. The disabilities then were removed because from that point, I never saw them with disabilities. And that allowed us to connect that bridge. That's the power of what music does. The choir was there, but we needed to make them sing together. They needed to find their own voice. And what happened was that we worked with the choir for about a year or so, and I started to notice something that I never seen before. First of all,
Interesting.
something yeah, something came in me, inside of me, that I was not expecting. And it was that I for many years, Louis, I had this desire when I was going to the school of music and playing music in my country. I had this dream that one day I was going to be conducting a large band,
Large
like
crowd,
with a
something big.
brass section,
Wow.
keyboards and guitar, a big choir. But honestly, it was just a dream. But when I got and I started to notice these people, I realized that these people have raw talent. They had great passion and an enormous desire to make music. And those elements allow me to consider, and I got this crazy idea at the time that says, well, maybe this is the place. Maybe these are the right people. And maybe this dream that I had could be achieved here. Because sometimes we have a dream in our minds, and a part of that dream we want that we think in a logical way that the dream is going to be accomplished in this way. We have a mental process. If I do A, I get to B, and then to C and
Yeah,
D.
yeah.
But many times and sometimes those dreams don't come in a way that we expect,
Comes in a mystery way.
in a total different way. And I think each one of us need to be open to how it's going to happen, and maybe you haven't been able to accomplish, and it's still in your heart somehow. What if you reimagine how that dream is going to be?
Oh,
What if there is a different way that you are totally not expecting?
not.
I think the most important thing is to know not what you are missing, but what you have. What do you have in your hand? What is that you can touch right now? What I had these people in front of me.
With the tools
I
you
didn't
have, what you can do,
exactly,
because
exactly
people exactly we spend so much in our life thinking about what could I do if I have this, if I would, if
correct.
I, and
Yeah,
what you're
yeah,
saying, amazing.
yeah, yeah. I don't have this. I don't have this.
I don't have this. Why are
Therefore,
you spending so
cannot
much
do
time
this.
in that?
Yeah,
You're
but
gonna get nowhere.
yeah, what do you have in your head? I mean,
What I
if
have is
you
the
look at
question.
yeah, if you look at epic stories and in the history, whether great prophets, let's say Moses, for instance, he just had a rod in his hand, and that's all he had, and he thought he didn't have anything, but that was the catalyst for him to
Was it?
fulfill his purpose in life. Sometimes, in history, you find ways that people don't have all the resources that they may think, or that the world tells you that you need to achieve X, Y, or Z, but is what do you have in your hand? What is close
Wow,
to
I
you?
like.
And realizing that was the perhaps a new way. And this group really exceeded all the expectations. And you have to keep in mind that these were a group of people that society often overlooks, Luis.
Yeah, mental and
Society
physical both.
exceeded all the expectations, and we were able
Wow.
to create a large performing band with almost 30 people on stage. And during that time, we realized we had a very unique story, very special story to tell, share outside of our music room. And we started to document that story, and therefore that we created a film that you mentioned earlier called For Once in
For
My
once in my
Life,
life.
that
Beautiful.
we
I
created
watched it
a
twice.
film.
It was
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, it is, and it's on. To our surprise, Louis, it became an award-winning film.
Wow.
It was officially
But it's
selected by
powerful. It's
the.
a powerful movie.
Yeah,
You know, it doesn't have
it
to
is.
have a special effect. Like I said,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
best movies are the one who touch their hearts and see the possibilities and in the impossible. I don't know, you
yeah,
know, something that is
absolutely.
incredible,
Yeah,
but then becomes available, becomes real.
yeah,
Amazing,
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. That was. I mean, the movie was selected by the State Department to be screened in U.S. embassies around the world. So it's been in over 20 countries, and even the band got the honor to be invited to the White House. So never in my wildest dreams, coming to this group, I will ever say, "Okay, we're gonna
Wow,
create a band, and then we're gonna make a movie, and then we're gonna go to
you
the
didn't
White
have
House."
nothing of that in your
Nothing,
mind.
absolutely nothing. So I think that's why sometimes it's just taking the next step that is in front of you,
Yes.
always looking at that desire that is in your heart and connecting with your life purpose. What is the life purpose that you have? And be open to
You were
explore.
open to receive
Yeah,
that job, even you say no, but that you say, let me open, let me check out this opportunity. Let me,
yeah,
okay, I'm going to work, I'm going to hire, you know, be hired for these people, and let me try. And you were open, and that's what brings you all these beautiful blessings in,
yeah.
and even your dream, achieving your dream of
Mhm.
being conductor
Yeah,
of a big
correct,
orchestra.
correct,
Amazing, amazing.
correct,
I like
correct.
the way you describe it, because for our viewers, it's exactly what I want to. It's about them. It's about being authentic you, and being you. You can achieve your dreams.
I worked with this group for 15 years. I left the band. The band continues to make music with a new conductor, a new director. But after 15 years, I moved out of the band. It was a hard decision to make because, we started something
Yes.
from scratch. But I thought it was a time, I felt it was a time to be called to do something different. And what I was starting to do, I discovered during this time that I was with this group. First of all, they taught me so much. They taught me how to teach them, and the life lessons that I carry with me after being with them for all these years, over a decade, was really transformed my life. And I discovered in that period, Luis, that music has powerful leadership and life principles that apply anywhere, regardless of musical ability. And because people look at music as an entertainment tool, or maybe something that makes you feel good, that is part of life. But when you look at music, music is present in every area of our lives.
Everywhere.
It's the human experience. There is music in birthdays, weddings, romantic dinners, sports events, funerals, church, everywhere. Everywhere there are humans connected. So the lesson that I learned here is that those principles of music could be applied to life, and we actually apply it to leadership. And that's why I started this an organization with that teaches leaders, that is called Leading in Tune. And I've been
The
working with
program.
leaders
Yes.
uh,
Your
for
program leading
about
to.
a decade. And then we help leaders integrate the music principles into the leadership, so they can lead their teams like an orchestra, to create a
Yes.
culture based on harmony. What you were saying earlier, that was very interesting, because when you look at the model of the orchestra, it's a model of life. Even our bodies function as an orchestra. And when you look at the orchestra, you have different sounds and you have different instruments being played that creates the signature sound of the
Mm-hmm.
orchestra. And every person in the orchestra has an instrument to play. One of the most important things, if we translate this into leadership or into life, every person has an instrument to play in life. You have been called to play an instrument. Now, what I discovered is that people, and I would love to share this story with you, that there is a girl is in the film. Her name is Melissa. She is a young girl with Down syndrome.
Mm-hmm. I
When
know.
Melissa came to audition for the band, she didn't have any musical experience, zero musical experience. We did a test that measured her sense of rhythm and also her ability to carry a tune. The ability to carry a tune, that part of the test, unfortunately, Melissa didn't pass it. However, in the sense of the rhythm, she totally blew it.
She
I
was
mean, she really exceeded all that because she was like a human metronome. She had this precise
metronome.
rhythm.
Yeah.
She was just amazing. And then she made it to the band. And I remember we were in the room with there were different instruments. We have brass, we have keyboards, we have all kinds of instruments.
Okay.
And then I asked Melissa, again, this girl with Down syndrome, I said, Melissa, what instrument would you like to play? And as you said earlier, I didn't want to tell them you need to play this, or that, because I wanted them to discover that by themselves. So when I asked Melissa, zero experience in music, I asked, what instrument would you like to play? And I remember that she looked around
Look
and she
and look.
fixed her eyes on the corner when we had a big set of congas.
The conga.
And now Melissa is very tiny, is a very tiny girl. And she looked at the congas and she looked at me and looked at the congas. And then
And look
with
the
a
conga. Look at you
yeah,
again.
and then with a great level of confidence, she said, those are mine.
Those are mine.
Those
Like
are mine.
they
That's what she
mine, not
said.
like lend me. Can I borrow all your congas? Not
Yeah, I mean,
wow.
those
She was
are
empowered.
mine.
Wow,
And
that's powerful.
look at that powerful statement.
Powerful
She didn't
statement.
even know what was the name of the instrument. She had no idea that was conga. She didn't know. However, she felt attracted to that and she responded to that calling. And other band members that, I mean, and actually, when you see Melissa, I was a little concerned because she had tiny hands and the congas, could take a toll on your hands. But she learned to play that instrument. And not only that, but she also learned to play the tambourine and other percussion instruments. When you watch the film and you see Melissa, you know that she's playing her instrument because I haven't seen any
Wow,
conga
she was
player,
boom. Bah, I
even
saw her like running
professional,
like tuku tuku ta.
yet playing it with
Very
the
good.
passion and the precision that she does. Yeah, she's just
Yes.
amazing. Other band
Yes.
members, Luis, were when I asked the same question and they passed the audition, other band members, and I said, "What instrument would you like to play?" And some of them were not as quickly to identify their instrument like Melissa was. But I never told them again. And I said, "This is what we're gonna do. We're going to explore the instruments in 2 or 3 weeks. Where I'm not going to even teach you how to play. I just want you just to go to the trumpets, hold the trumpet in your hands, go to the guitar, put the guitars right next to you, kick the drums." And during that touring, it was like a tour of the different instruments. After that 2 or 3 weeks, I asked the same question: what instrument would you like to play? And they chose whatever instrument. I want to play the saxophone, trumpet, or whatever. And 99% of the time it worked because it came from their hearts. It came
Wow.
directly. They felt connected to that and they allowed their true self to make that choice for them. Nobody else was making that choice. They made that choice. And of course, they needed direction, they needed the guidance to learn to play the instruments.
But when it
And
comes from the heart, when it the
yes,
vortex, when I think when the energy, sometimes we use energy from other people or we are trying to mimic others. I mean,
Yeah.
something that I really learned in life now that I'm old is when that energy comes from inside of you, that passion, that thing that just come from you, that's just born from here. It's a vortex of energy that just
Yeah. It
born.
is.
You don't get tired, you know. You don't. You can do that. Yeah, you're human. You're gonna get tired maybe if you do play more than 8 hours, but you can play longer. This is what I think about. Big guy play guitar, and you see it back
Mhm.
here, and I love sax too, and I love piano, but I don't know how to play piano. But when I play, it's like, oh my God, it's so many things for me. It means so I resonate so much into this because I told you I was a dancer, but I'm actually
Mhm.
dancer since 10 years ago. You know, I started dancing, but I've been playing guitar and singing at the same time that I love. This is my passion since I was 12 years old. So
Mm.
it's like I really understand where this energy comes from you. Like you don't, you just want to play, you just want to be there, and there's no time, there's no lab or it's amazing what
Yeah.
music can do with you and the brain and the relation of the brain and the music. Talking about the neurons and the on your project, your program of
Mhm.
leading
Yeah,
into.
and just to make sure, we're not talking just about music. The point is that it could be accounting if that's your passion. It could be painting. It could be sports. Could be whatever. We're not talking. We're not restricting this experience to music. When I'm talking about finding your instrument, I'm not talking specifically about music. What I'm saying is that you have a voice that needs to be heard, whatever that is, in whatever profession, career you may want to explore. And I find that people in the coaching
Okay.
that we do and working with organizations and leaders in different teams, I find that people confuse what is an instrument. And I
Yes.
think it's important to clarify that.
Instrument could be
Your
my body when I dance.
Yeah,
Boom, ba,
exactly.
ba,
But a
boom.
lot of people in the corporate world, they think that their instrument is their degree or their title.
Yes,
Your
that's
instrument
very,
is not
very.
your
No,
degree,
that's not
is not your title. Your instrument is the vehicle that allows you to express what's inside of you.
yourself.
For instance, if you like poetry, it's not until the time that you take a pen and start writing or publish something that people are able to see and in a tangible way get what's
Your
inside of your
talent.
head, what's inside of your heart, that you are using your instrument. So that instrument is the bridge that allows you to again channel what you have inside of you.
Wow, nice, very nice.
That is the connection that I think a lot of people miss. And is not your title, is not your degree, because people say, okay, I have this
It's not your
degree.
title. It's not your big bank accounts. Not
No,
your exotic
it's not.
cars.
No, because it's none of that,
Oh my
because it's
God.
really
Right, right,
it's
right,
really what is in your heart that you want to express.
right.
You have inside of you, as you were saying earlier, an energy, a
Oh,
desire. And
I
using your
really
instrument,
understand.
yeah, using your instrument is about using that channel, touch what is inside of you.
Oh my God,
And
that's beautiful.
something that we need to reflect in life, I think I like to encourage, is that your instrument in life could change. When you look at the life of Mozart, he played the harpsichord, the piano, the viola, the violin.
But
He was
someone
not defined by those things. He was just Mozart. A more
was just
modern example is Stevie Wonder. He plays the harmonica, he plays the
yes,
piano, and he's a singer. And I
incredible.
think he plays the bass as well and the drums for sure. But he's not defined by the instrument.
By
It's
the
just those
instrument.
different channels. Is instrument is what allows people to see
Just the
what's he has.
tool, just the tool, the instrument.
Exactly. It's like the tool.
What's some of the biggest challenges you faced during that period of the building this orchestra? When you were conductor trying to build it, because I know it was 15 years, and I know, I don't know, I think it wasn't what it wasn't easy. Yeah, what are those biggest challenges that you
Well,
faced?
I think, thank you. That's a great question. I think the biggest challenges that we face were not them. They learned to play instruments, and they also learned to work as a team. Two different things, two different kinds of abilities. Because when you translate this to the workplace, I don't think in many companies talent is the issue because they people have talent, but most in most cases they don't know how to work together, which is a different skill that is needed. What I think one of the biggest challenges for us was to let people see that this group was able to do it. And I remember that when we were building the band, we started again as a small choir, then a small band, then it started to grow, to grow, to grow. And when people came to tour the place and hear the band, I remember be, this was before the film, that it was the band was just this group in this music room. And when people came to the room, Luis, they you could see the body language. People were not expecting that much and all that. Just this is a group of people with disabilities who are here, have some instruments and all that. But when the band that actually works, it worked in our advantage because the expectation was so low
Solo.
that when the band started to play, it just
Wow.
blew them away because they saw how well they played, the precision, and again, they were not
Yes.
expecting. I think breaking that barrier of what people expect from other
Respect.
people, I think that's the biggest challenge
That's
that
big.
that
Oh.
I mean that the band had, and I think is the challenge that people have in general.
Okay, winning an award and achieving recognition are a significant milestone, you know?
Mhm.
And what do you think made the story resonate so strongly with the audience, the movie and the audience, leading to its selection to US State Department and for worldwide screenings?
Mhm. Yeah,
That's a big
that's a
question.
great question. Yeah, I think. Well, I was in a film festival. I'll tell you a story. I was in a film festival when we were releasing the film, and I had the honor of meeting the movie director of several of Jim Carrey's movies, like Liar, Bruce Almighty, Ace Ventura. The director of those movies.
Incredible big movies, like everyone
Yes, they are
will
great
like them.
blockbuster movies. The director of those movies with Jim Carrey is called Tom Shadyac.
Tom Shadyac.
Tom was in this film festival, and he was screening a documentary that he did called I Am, and we were screening Once in My Life. When I met him, I was really surprised because he approached me and he said, "I love your film, dude. I really love your film." Hollywood director,
Yes.
this is a mega blockbuster director. Tom is a very intelligent and very insightful man. And he asked me a question that I was not prepared for. He said, Javier, it's obvious that you love people and you love music, but why did you spend all these 15 years working with these people? What is the reason? And I
Wow.
thought,
A great
well,
question.
yeah, I love people, I love music. I thought there were
You didn't,
the
yeah, I
evident
guess,
reasons,
wow.
right? But
Why you
I
stayed
had
there
to do
50
some.
years?
Yeah, I mean, I had to do a soul search, and I couldn't answer at the time. And I remember that night I was just having trouble sleeping, just thinking about,
You,
what.
you were sleeping. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, just
Yeah, I
kind of
mean,
thinking.
yeah, it put just think and
It
actually as a
makes it
director,
makes you think. Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
And so,
yeah.
and the next morning, because the film festival was like 3 days or so, and the next morning I saw him at breakfast, and I said, Tom, I think I got the
Oh,
answer
you got the answer.
for you.
Nice.
After a lot of self-reflection, I said, Tom, I think the reason why I stayed with this group for all these years and felt so connected to them is that when I started to look at them, I realized I was seeing myself reflected in them because I
Oh,
realized that I also have disabilities.
we all have. That's the truth.
Some of them don't see, don't hear well, or are slow to process information. We are the same. And I said, when I saw them, I'm seeing myself. I'm seeing myself there because I also have disabilities. The reality is that the people that we call disabled and the rest of us, the difference is that they wear their disabilities on the outside. we wear the disabilities on the inside.
Oh,
We wear them on the inside.
oh.
We don't want people to know our weaknesses or the things that we're not good at it, or our own disabilities. But something that I learned working with this group is
Mm-hmm.
that you don't need to hide your disabilities, because we spent
Mm-hmm.
a lot of time, energy, and effort
Hiding,
pretending who we are
pretending.
really not. And when we
Wow.
pretend who we're really not, that takes
Not
a
being
lot of
authentic, right?
you. It's totally inauthentic, and it takes a lot of energy just to be
Mm-hmm.
someone that you're not.
Mm-hmm.
But when you embrace who you are
Who you
with your
are.
flaws and
Mm.
everything, then your abilities emerge. And that's
Emerge.
exactly what
Yes,
happened with
yes.
this group.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And
Very,
I think
very
that's the
nice.
reason in us at a subconscious level that people identify with this group, because again, these are people that society didn't expect much from them. And
Exactly.
how many of us at some point in our lives we
Mm-hmm.
have been told when we were kids or younger or even adults, you are not going to be able to do this, you
Oh,
are too much,
you're.
you are too whatever, you
That's
are,
not
or
for
you're
you.
not
You cannot
enough,
do that.
or you're not enough, you're
You're not
not
enough.
too
Mm-hmm.
skinny, too
Mm-hmm.
pretty, too young, too old, too rich, too
Mm-hmm.
smart, you're not too whatever. And
Yes.
then that is the struggle that a lot of us really
Have.
face in life,
Yes.
and is seeing that what this film, and I highly encourage people to watch the film. It's on Amazon Prime. You can stream it there.
I buy it, yeah, on Amazon. Mm-hmm. It's
Yeah,
very, very
this
easy to find.
this story really puts a mirror in front of you and says, well, if these people can do this way that is connected to who you are, your true self,
Mm-hmm.
and the call that you have in life to play your instrument and show who you really are and be your true self. So that's I think that's the reason why this story resonates with so many people. It's about each one of us.
Wow, amazing. I love the answer, and believe I believe that that's what the world needs. Being more authentic, be more ourselves, and just do what we love from our heart, because that way we can reach our full potential. Where we.
Yeah.
I have another question. Can you tell me about the invitation to the White House? What was the experience for you and for
Yeah.
the chorus members?
Thank you. That was a big surprise again. The preamble to that was that the the State Department has a program that is called American Film Showcase, when they select films, including Academy Award winning films, to show what is the American life around the world through the embassies. And our film, when we released it, it went through the independent film festivals and started to win audience awards and South by Southwest, which is a very recognized film festival, and a bunch of awards. And then, including that, but actually was best documentary in the Independent Documentary Association in Los Angeles. And then when the State Department chose the film to screen in embassies around the world, then there was a connection with someone from the White House, and we were really surprised to receive the invitation and got
Wow.
honored. And as an immigrant, I never thought I would have the honor to be
Mhm.
there, invited as a guest, and the band members as well. And it was a moment to see that every person is important. Every person is a VIP. I personally don't like to use VIP selected to just a group of people. I think every person is a VIP, and being a VIP means that you have value, you are very important, and you have a reason why you're here, and you have a sound that is unique, that
Unique.
only you can
Only
play,
you. Only
only
you
you
can bring. Yeah, only you can bring those values to the table, to the, right?
Correct. What happened is that in a piece of music you find both. You find consonant sounds and you find dissonant sounds,
Find
and
both.
they are intertwined. And because that's exactly what makes a good song together. I mean, that's what creates a very good song, because it introduces the tension and then releases the tension,
Release and
introduces the tension and releases the
release.
tension. That's why you feel that emotional journey when you're listening to your song. Most, I mean, I would say popular songs have that combination of consonance and dissonance. And the big lesson here is like, I love the quote from the legendary Frank Zappa, the legendary guitarist. He said, listening to a song without a flow of tension, it will be like watching a film, a movie with only good guys in it.
Yes.
We wouldn't really enjoy a
So
movie with only when
no, no,
everybody's
because don't,
good
don't
and
have don't have excitement, don't have
exactly
struggles
right.
like
There's
the,
no tension and struggle, right?
so we
So
can put
music,
this in our life, right? Because
absolutely,
it's actually
absolutely,
life,
eh,
if you see.
absolutely. Because the lesson here, if we can walk away with one lesson, is that harmony is not the absence of dissonance. And I will say it again,
Harmony
harmony
is
is
not the answer.
not the absence of dissonance. And
Yes.
this is very important because we spend most of our lives, time, energy, and effort
Effort
trying to get rid of the
to get
dissonance.
it out.
And dissonance is
Are
just
part of
part
the
of
game.
life. It's something that you cannot avoid many times. The focus is, and I call in the program that we do, when you think about music, people put themselves in two categories: music makers, and where are the musicians, the dancers. Could you? I love the way you integrated that comment. That, yeah, the dancers,
Oh,
and I'm actually
I
using it.
gave you a comment. Yeah. What
The
are the
dance,
dancers? I say.
yeah, no, the dancers, absolutely. They are music makers
Oh my
because they
God, I
use their
love it.
body to express music. They
Yes, yes.
they clap and they create percussion and all that. So they're music makers and they're music lovers. These are the two categories that most people put themselves in,
Yes, yes, yes.
right? But what I encourage people in the program that we do is that there is a third category that we call harmony makers. And who are harmony makers? Harmony makers is a different category besides music lovers and music makers. This category of harmony makers transcend the other two, because harmony makers are leaders, people who apply the principles of music into everything they do. Everything they do. And going back to the concept of harmony is not the absence of dissonance, this is fundamental for a harmony maker. If you want to be a harmony maker, you focus not in eliminating the dissonance, but what you can do to reduce the time that you spent in the dissonance and decrease the intensity. Again, reduce the time that
Reduce
you spent in the dissonance
time.
and decrease the intensity. That is
Decrease the
possible.
intensity.
Yes, yes. Not get rid of, because if you spend your time trying to get rid of something that you cannot, you're gonna feel frustrated. You're gonna feel really bad about it because it's gonna come back. If you get rid of this dissonance, well, suddenly another dissonance comes up, right? There's, whether it's you, the weather, your spouse, a friend, a coworker,
Yeah.
your own, whatever.
Issues.
Exactly. It happens all the time.
Obstacles. Obstacles.
Obstacles. But then what can you do to reduce? The focus is
Reduce.
different. Reduce the time that you
That I
spent in the
spend
distance.
looking to that,
Exactly. And
or paying attention to that.
yeah, well, not only paying attention, and I think that's a great point, because it's not ignoring the dissonance. And that's a very good important point. When we have, default is getting rid of the dissonance because I don't like it, because it's
I hard to
uncomfortable.
swallow. Hard to swallow. I don't want it.
Yeah,
I want.
it is hard to swallow. But the more you ignore the dissonance, the worse it gets. And this happens at all levels. Sooner or later, you have to deal with the dissonance, whether
Sooner or later.
now or later in
Later.
life. And what happened is that, let's say a dissonance could be a relationship that turns sour in your life. Maybe there was, a friend or an ex, or wife or spouse or whatever, or sometimes even a situation with an employer, a coworker, or your boss or whoever. And let's say you just want to ignore, you just say, I don't want to deal with that.
I don't want to talk to him.
And people do this all the time. We do this all the time. We try to get rid of the dissonance. We try to bury, we try not to pay attention, we try to ignore it, and we try to numb ourselves to that. And that's, sadly, that's why people get into any kinds of addictions, whether
Or
it's
disease,
food,
then later.
sex, drugs, alcohol, whatever, because we don't want to deal with the dissonance.
Wow, that's
But,
amazing.
but
Really good.
it's when you look at the dissonance in the face and you say, this
Face
is
it.
the dissonance. You look at the dissonance, and this is the problem that I'm having this situation with this person. And it doesn't mean necessarily that you're going to confront the person. We need to go on a case by case scenario, but really recognizing that dissonance inside of you. Because there is a great principle that we don't have time to really go into the details, but when you look at the orchestra model, you see the director, the different sections you have in the orchestra, different sections you have, like the string sections and the brass sections and the percussion section. You have the conductor who's leading, you have the audience who is listening to the orchestra. And then that model applies in a great way to teams. In in an organization, you can have the CEO is the conductor, the section leaders are the managers or the directors, and the individual contributors are the people who are making the sound. The audience in the orchestra, in the organization, is the clients that they are serving. Or if a nonprofit, well, it's the people, the donors, the people that they serve. That is a great model of, because the orchestra is a system, is an organizational system that has been established since the 16th century. I mean, has been
Wow,
refined. It is a
very old
wonderful model. Yeah, it's a wonderful proven system that
system.
works to create collaboration. But the same system of the orchestra could also be applicable to your internal orchestra. We all have an internal orchestra. What do I mean by that?
Explain that. Yeah.
I explained that, yes,
Yeah.
because we have different parts of us. We are in a constant chattering inside, is what's called our inner dialogue. There are different parts of us that express. For instance, we all face this on a daily basis. A part of me wants to do this, and a part of me wants to do the other. Should I go to this? Should I take this job, or should I not take this job? Should I go to this party or not? Should I talk to this person or not? I don't know. There is an inner conflict all the time, and we talk in this way frequently. A part of me wants to do this, but I'm not sure, and you have this inner conflict, right? Socrates was asked one time, what are thoughts? That's a profound question. What are thoughts? And Socrates said, thoughts is the conversation that the soul is having.
Oh,
Is the conversation that the soul is
it's a
having.
quiet conversation in your
Yes,
thoughts.
exactly. And we're having this conversation all the time.
It's true. We
All the
all the
time.
time and all the time.
The issue is, and that's what I call the internal orchestra. What happens is when you have an orchestra that is not in harmony, that is noise. That inner dialogue sometimes is noise,
It's noise.
because it's like you have the brass playing one thing, and the strings playing something else, and the percussion playing something else. And then what happens is that most of us, we hear and we feel the noise, and you feel that in your body through anxiety,
The anxiety,
depression,
depression, exactly. Oh,
all
I
kinds of
was gonna say that.
physical situations that you're facing, because we all face dissonance in
We all
a way.
have anxiety
All of
one
us,
way or
all of
another,
us,
or one way
yeah.
or
So
another.
what happened is that most of us do. I don't have a picture right now, but I want you to uh, just look how an orchestra looks. And when you look at the conductor, let me ask you this: where the conductor is
Located.
looking at? What is the
What?
conductor
It's
looking
looking. It's
at?
looking to the orchestra. It's looking,
Is looking
but
to
it's
the
looking
orchestra.
backward. The audience, it's rear
Well, but he's really looking at the
or
orchestra.
the
He's not
orchestra.
looking at the audience. He
On the
only
other,
turns to the
exactly.
audience when
In the
receiving
back.
the applause and all that. But the main reason the orchestra is there, Luis, is for the audience. With no audience, there's no
Oh,
orchestra.
of course.
However, the conductor has his eyes fixed on the orchestra,
Orchestra.
like a good leader does. When you're talking about being a good leader, you need to begin by applying self leadership, meaning what is your internal orchestra, because you cannot lead an outside orchestra unless you lead your internal
Your
orchestra.
internal orchestra
And then
first.
what happened with most people is that most of us, we are not looking inside, we're looking to the audience. We're not like, we're doing the opposite of what a good conductor does. What a good conductor does is look at the musicians, as you stated a moment ago. But we look outside, we look at the audience, we're trying to please the audience. In reality, the best sound that you can
It's
create
inner
is
self.
when you look into
Inside.
yourself.
Yes.
And when you start paying attention to those parts of you, that there is a protective part of you. For instance, there is this protective part of you that when someone comes or uh, attacks and defense, and these actually are connected. This is more than just a metaphor. It's connected to areas of the brain. Your brain has different areas. Like, for instance, when you feel vulnerable, your amygdala kicks in, which is this membrane in the back of your neck that activates. It's like a soldier activates, and you feel the tension, your heart pumping in a
Or
faster way because you need to either
you
get
get
ready to
tension to fight
fight,
or flight
to flight, or to freeze
or to
because the
freeze.
situation is
I
too
freeze
overwhelming for
sometimes.
you.
Yes.
And that is the part of you that is trying to defend you. um, and that is just one part of you. And then there is another part of you, which is the emotional side, when you feel all these emotions. And what happened is that most of us, we bury those emotions because that somehow becomes overwhelming sometimes. And the,
Numb,
the,
become
the
numb.
protective part of us, which is, kind of like the soldiers that are protecting, they bury
Very.
that. And that is not harmony,
That's not
because
good.
when you bury the strings in an orchestra and only have the brass, that's not going to sound good when you have all these possibilities. So I think paying attention to your internal orchestra is essential, because a good conductor listens, pay attention, and say, there is an off key here, there is an out of tune situation here. And something beautiful that conductors do is they lead with a baton. A baton, a lot of people have never touched a baton. But when you look at the baton, it's very light. It's very, very light. It's lighter than a phone. It's lighter than your pen. It's actually less than half an ounce. However, conductors use these to lead the orchestra. Look at the baton, is not a hammer, is not a whip, it's a baton. It's a tool, it's not a tool of force, it's a tool of precision, gentleness,
A light
direction.
direction.
And when most of us lead ourselves with a hammer or with a whip,
With a wave.
um, that we
Yeah, yeah.
don't criticize ourselves, we don't treat ourselves with
Attitude,
kindness
kindness.
and gentleness, but it's almost like leading the orchestra with a whip or with a gavel, like a judge, judging ourselves all the time and
Yeah, like
doing
we,
this.
we wake up in the morning and we said, I mean, sometimes that's what sometimes I see in me too. Like, oh, I have to do this. I wake up, I need to read my daily structure, like, and I need to follow this and this and this. And maybe I just want to wake up, I just want to go to the garden and into the woods and
Yeah,
take a big breath and
yeah,
just calm down, just breathe and instead of assigning so many pressure on me.
Yeah, yeah, because what happened is that we lived a very compartmentalized life. We have learned to live a very compartmentalized life in a way that our emotions are buried. We are mostly function driven, which is the left part of the brain is about solving the logical, the reason. I got to do this, I got to do that,
Gotta
I
do
got to
this.
do the other.
Must.
Very
I
function
should.
driven,
I
very,
should. I must.
yes,
All
yeah,
those
yeah,
words
and then
shouldn't exist, right?
exactly. And then it's very task oriented. And especially Western
Yeah.
society is about accomplishing.
Yes. Very
It's like
driven.
I
Very
gotta do
driven.
this, I gotta do this, I gotta do the other, and kind of check marks, check marks.
Check mark.
But
And task and.
when you disconnect from your emotional side and you only are driven by function, you are out of harmony. You are living a life that is not harmonious because you're not integrating this part of you. And this part of you is essential to who you are. And also your true self, which is your identity, is located in this part of the brain and the prefrontal cortex right above your right eye. This is
In the front.
what's your identity. Who are you? What's different? What's unique about you? And when going back to the band musicians, that they were able to express their authentic self, express themselves with liberty, with freedom, understanding and embracing their own disabilities, that is the true self. And interesting, I ask people, what do you do when you're listening to your favorite song that nobody is around? And people say, well, if nobody's around, even if I'm not a singer, I sing, I dance, I emulate, I can play the instrument, I do crazy things. That is your true self. That is the moment when your true self doesn't feel censored or that is going to be vulnerable to be criticized.
Judged man.
That's when you're being yourself. And during those 3 or 4 minutes, you feel joyful
And you live in the
because
present. You live in that
you live
moment. You
exactly
live
is
in the present.
you
You're not
feel
thinking in the
joyful.
past. You're not thinking in the future.
Exactly. You're living with that joy that you are called to have in a way that is not just functional. I'm not saying that we need our functional part. This is how we survive in life. We need to do this, and I understand. But when you only work on this side, it's almost like you're using just half of your brain, and using half of your brain and not connecting to the other, it's not developing your full potential. You cannot really achieve your full potential when you bury your emotions and when you bury who's your true self, or when your guardian or your soldier, the part that protects you, is running your life, because that's not the way it's supposed to be. That's not the way we're supposed to live this harmonious life. And again, harmonious life doesn't mean that everything is rosy, beautiful, and totally perfect. Is
Have dissonance.
acknowledging the dissonance, finding a way to reduce the time that we spent in the dissonance, and decreasing its intensity. And we all have that as a daily practice, because no musician can ever tell you, and you play the guitar, no musician can ever tell you, I'm done. I don't need to practice anymore. When people are facing challenges at work, when people face challenges at work because they want more executive presence, or they want to learn how to delegate, or whatever the case might be that they're looking for to improve, what happened is, what I discovered is that many, many times this goes, the root of the issue is connected to a dissonance that was not resolved, to a dissonance in that person's life that it was not resolved in a proper way, whether it was some sort of trauma in the past or whatever it was. Could be as recent as an argument with a person, or maybe a rude encounter or difficult conversation with a boss, or even years ago from something that happened years ago in their lives.
Stress, too much
And
stress, maybe for so long in their job. I see people having stress
yes,
for 30
yes,
years, and
yeah, because
they
because
keep
again,
stress even when they retire.
we're not trained to what we do with what do we do with the dissonance. We are not trained to do that. We don't have. It's not something that you are born naturally. It's something that it's a skill that needs to be developed. How do you again reduce the time that you spent in the dissonance and decrease the intensity? What happened is interesting because when when I call a dissonance that hasn't been resolved is some sort of relationship that happened in the past that that is still there and is still operating inside of you. You may don't have the cognitive awareness that is there, but is running your
Subconscious,
life. It's
maybe
subconsciously, you know, it,
running.
and I see it over and over and over again. When
Wow.
people, when because when fear manifests, it's something that is coming from the past. It's something that is coming, and people don't have the skills to do that. So one of that's actually one of the programs that we started to work with
Wow, that's good.
our
Very
coaches and
interesting.
people that we coach is that we have a program that is called Let Go with a Melody, which is how to release that unresolved dissonance in a way that is safe, that doesn't require talking to anyone other than yourself, and using the healing power of music
Healing
to
power.
release whatever needs to be released from your system. Because guess what? The whatever dissonance that we don't resolve emotionally,
Yes.
what do you think is going, Luis? What do you think is going if it's not released?
It's going to be like a pressure cooker, I would say. Like when it
It's
explodes,
going
explodes.
into your body.
Going
It's going
inside.
into your body. I have a book
Could be a
here.
disease later, right? Could be a
Well,
cancer.
absolutely. There is a great
Future.
book, and I highly recommend it. It's to me, it's like a reference book. Is this New York Times bestseller by Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, "The Body Keeps the Score," and
Wow,
he
keeps the
studied
score.
people.
Oh.
The body keeps the score. He studied people for 30 years that suffer from trauma, and then what's amazing is that when trauma is not resolved, with and I call it the dissonance that is not resolved, it stays in your body. It stays in your body and becomes in many cases becomes illness,
Illness.
illnesses becomes all kinds of situations that you carry because it's inside of you. Emotions are connected to our body and our emotions, our spirits are very much connected to each other, and we may try to pressure down, put it aside, not pay attention to it, but it's there. And sooner or later, we have to deal with that. It's better to deal with that sooner than later. This is one of the most important programs that we have because you can teach people how to delegate. You can teach people all kinds of skills, how to communicate or how to have more executive presence. All those things are relatively easy
Relatively
to
easy to.
teach,
But to
but
teach
it's really
people this, what
exactly
you're saying,
how teaching people how to
not easy.
listen to their internal orchestra. That's the first thing.
To inner
Teaching
self.
people how to listen to their internal orchestra, have a better relationship with every part of their hearts, every part of their mind, you know, how they can have a better relationship with those parts, and how to begin to harmonize practicing on a daily basis. And to be something practical, for instance, when you feel any kind of stress situation, let's say you get really anxious about giving a presentation. You know, I know you're in Toastmasters, I am too, and let's say you get
We
nervous
all
when you're
get,
giving a presentation. Well, we all
we
face
all
that. I
face
mean,
that.
it's part of being human. And then what happened is that what we do, what some of us do, some people do, I don't want to think about that. You know what? I'm not going to talk in public. I want to avoid it as much as I can. But instead of doing that, you take the time and you acknowledge
The
that
fear.
anxiety.
Acknowledge the
You
fear. Acknowledge
acknowledge the fear and you said, well, like, even though I have this fear, I recognize that I have this fear. I recognize that I have this anxiety inside of me. suddenly, when you face and you name that anxiety or fear or whatever that is, it starts seeing in a different perspective, and it doesn't become this big monster because you are now establishing a relationship. And instead of pushing aside, instead of eating a donut or stress eating, or because you have some sort of
Or become
anxiety,
addicted to alcohol or
yeah,
to
or
even food.
alcohol or
Food.
whatever. Yeah, I mean, food,
Even good
absolutely.
food, even organic food.
Because
Too much.
it doesn't matter, because whatever you do, you're trying to suppress the dissonance. But instead of doing that, why would you do something different, which is to start acknowledging, I feel this dissonance, I feel this anxiety, I feel this fear. I'm afraid
I'm
of
gonna do that
this,
when I
this.
feel my anxiety that we all feel sometimes, like
Yeah,
pressure. So noticing and say, okay, the dissonance should be here, but like failures or all the things, the dissonance is just part of the success, right? It's not
it is.
separate. It's
It's
not a
part of life.
part. It's
It's, it's,
part.
it's, it's integral. It's part of life. And
It's part
then,
of the life. Okay.
yes, I remember one person that we were coaching, and she said, I hate my anxiety. I said, what is the thing that bothers you the most? And she said, I hate my
That's what I said
anxiety.
to
I
myself. So
really,
I hate
really,
this. I hate when I have this, but
I hate when I have
I
this.
have to work
And
with
then
that.
I
Yeah.
said to her, well, is there a different way that you can have a different relationship with that part of your heart that creates anxiety? Instead of
Put it aside
hating,
or hating.
hating that part, is there any way that you can say, um,
Can we talk?
anxiety,
Can we talk? Can we sit down
can
and
we
talk?
have a conversation? Exactly.
I love
Can
that.
we
Yeah.
have a
We
conversation?
have a
And I know
conversation.
it
I love
sounds
that.
crazy, but we do it all the time.
I'm
We
gonna do
said,
that next
stop
time
it,
I
stop
feel.
it. I don't want to hear from you. I don't want to hear from you. I'm going to drink,
I just don't want to listen
I'm
more
going to
to you.
drink something. I'm just going to smoke something. I'm just going to do whatever because I don't want to hear you. But instead of
Wow.
doing that, can you little by little try to establish a relationship with that part of you who's creating that anxiety? Can you try to see, you are not my enemy. You are trying to protect me. Perhaps you are trying to protect me to keep me safe, because that's the
Protect me
best
to
way
keep
that
me
you
safe.
know, because you learned this when
You learn
perhaps
that.
you were 10 years old or 12
Yes,
years old,
exactly.
that being quiet, it was the best way to stay out of trouble. But now I am an adult. Can we find a different way? Can we have a better relationship? And
Better relationship. Yeah.
this is this is what harmony is about, because harmony is about relationships. When you play a note on the piano or any instrument in your guitar or whatever, you cannot say that that particular note or any note that you play is consonant or dissonant, meaning pleasant or not pleasant. It's just a note. It's the moment that you introduce a second note, that relationship of those sounds is what the brain interprets as something pleasant or not pleasant. So it's all about that relationship, that relationship. So going back to that anxiety, and you say, well, can we have a better relationship? Can we start talking? Let me hear where you're coming from. And this inner dialogue happens all the time. The thing is that we don't pay attention. We don't know who's holding the microphone. But instead of doing that, let's see, I want to hear you. Why
Exactly.
why do I feel this anxious? You are trying to protect me.
You're trying to put.
You try to protect
Wow.
me.
You're saying that, and we put this for the audience, but actually, what you're saying is helping me right now to understand that the anxiety with when I face anxiety, and I never have depression, but sometimes kind of anxiety,
Mhm,
because I work for so many years as an accountant. I used to do
mhm,
400 to 500 tax returns in just 1 month,
mhm.
2 months, and the
Wow.
pressure were there, and not only that, I put a lot of pressure on me when I was young, and still, but not now. I talk more with myself, but thank you, because now you clarify something for me, so I'm grateful for that. Like you said, you're trying to protect me. I know you're
Yeah.
there, but you're trying to protect me, but let's have a conversation and let me not put it to the side, because that's exactly what I do. I said,
Excellent.
My problem is my anxiety. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to see you. I don't want to
No.
be. I don't want to have the anxiety with me. I want to put it away. And all the time,
Oh,
I hate it.
who does? Really, who does? Nobody wants
I
that
hate it. I
because it's
want to
very
put it on
uncomfortable.
the
That
side.
irritates you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you
but
for that.
here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Appreciate
Going
it.
back to, you are trying to protect me, and I thank you for trying that, because
Yes.
it's
Yes.
almost. I mean, is
Thank. I
that
want to thank you for trying exactly talking to them and then like giving a hug and saying thank you for trying to protect me. But the way you're doing it is the way you learn it. Is not the right way. Right.
exactly? It's like having a bodyguard who doesn't let you be yourself, who doesn't let you talk to people, who
Because when
is
because he loves you so much and
you.
he wants to
He
protect
loves
you,
you. He wants to protect
like
you
your
so much.
mom. No, no, no,
He
don't
keeps you.
play. Don't.
He keeps you. Don't play.
Yes,
Don't do
don't do
that. Don't
this, don't do that.
interact
But
because you're
it's
gonna fall.
dangerous. Yeah.
Yes, and but he's trying to protect you, but then talking to that part, because he. I mean, and we're going a little deeper here. But what happens is that when we face a situation that, let's say we were 12 years old, or 10, let's say even 7, even younger than that, we faced a situation that was
Face it,
dangerous.
I was 10 years old, 10 to 11. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right there.
right. And then
Yeah.
at that time, there was a dangerous situation. And when I mean danger, it could be not necessarily like your life was in danger, could be, but let's say your parents argue at home, and then the only way for you to get out of trouble was to restrain yourself, don't say anything. You learn that behavior. Your protector, which is that part of your heart that protects you, your soldier, it's saying the best way that we can stay out of trouble and out of pain is not saying anything and stay away.
Stay away.
When you become an adult and you are exposed to situations, because that's still there, that behavior is still there inside, because there was the interpretation. I mean,
And
you
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 feel that emotion so long, and not all the time, but so long that sometimes those ghosts come. I call them ghosts. Ghosts to your life. It just even
yeah,
if you are not more, you don't have more threat. There's no more threat. There's no more.
yeah.
But you it's so long you feel that you still facing that. You still feeling that, and those emotions like it was today.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, and you said it very well,
It's very
because
very. Like, I'm telling you
uh,
because of me. I'm talking about me.
yeah. No, I mean, it's all of us, Luis. It's all of us. The neuroscience, there is a great when they started to develop the functional MRI, where they can see uh, brain activity in real time. Neuroscience confirms that the brain has two hemispheres, the right brain and the left brain.
The left brain.
The right brain is what processes all the emotions. Everything that is emotional is here on this part of the brain. The left brain is the one who processes all the logic
Logic.
and the reason and the whole logical part. The part of the emotional side of the brain, the right brain, that part of the brain doesn't sequence time. It's like this part of the brain doesn't have a watch, it doesn't have a calendar. The part of the
Interesting.
brain that sequence time, like I say, okay, we need to finish this in 10 minutes, or I have to go to work at 8 a.m. in the morning, or I'm going on vacation in a month. That sequence of time that is linear is this part of the brain. This part of the brain doesn't sequence time.
Doesn't sequence.
And
The
the
right brain
pain,
doesn't sequence.
the pain that we have, it's stored in this part of the brain. And when that is not
In the
resolved,
right side,
in
stored.
the right side, and when that is not resolved, the pain is there. And because there is no watch, there is no calendar, it feels like it happened
It was
yesterday,
today.
or like it
All
just
the time.
happening today.
You just
Like
feel
it's
it. You
happening.
feel it like
You
exactly.
feel it.
You feel
Yeah,
it, and
absolutely. You
you
talk
feel
to
the
people.
pain,
Yeah,
and it's so painful, so dark.
it is. It is. I mean, you talk to people that experience situations 20, 40, 50 years ago, and they still feel the emotion because that dissonance hasn't been
Exactly the
released.
same, like in the past.
Exactly the same.
Exactly the same.
Because the brain is storing that. And the idea is how you need to let that go. Now, everybody tells you that. You need to let that go. But how the heck do you do that? I
Now,
mean,
how
it's
that's
it that's
we would
exactly.
love to do that. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
I like
and
that.
that's precisely, and that probably requires another program. But learning to let go is one of the greatest skills that you can develop, um, and how to release that out of your brain because it's there, and the memory comes in different ways: muscle memory, emotional memory,
Yes.
cognitive memory, traumatic memory, all those memories that can be released in a way that you can find room for joy. Because if you are carrying this thing inside of you, your protector is very busy trying to keep this cargo of emotions that are there. It's like having a U-Haul truck filled with all kinds of things, and
Loaded.
a soldier needs to be protecting that stuff. But it's busy, so whatever it gets in the way, it's very sensitive because it's going to create a lot of pain. So releasing is really one of the things that's the program that one of the things that we do. We help people
Wow.
using the power of music because
It's
the
complex,
beautiful
but
I mean the beautiful thing is that um, and this is neuroscience as well because when you listen to music, something happens. The Again, going back to the invention of the functional MRI, the scientists believe that music only touched the right brain. It made sense, right? Because the right brain is emotional, music is emotional. It makes sense that only this part was going to be influenced by music. But when they put people under a functional MRI, where they can see the brain activity in real time, when people were listening to their favorite kind of music, what they noticed was that the brain activated completely. All
it's
parts of the
lighter,
brain
lighting.
it light up, it's light up. The rational side as well. This was something that they were
Wow.
not expecting. And music is the one of the only human experiences that acts as a brain activator, connects all parts of your brain at the same time simultaneously. And that's why people feel very different when they're listening to music. Because for 3 or 4 minutes, your amygdala down regulates, there is this brain connection and you feel different physically,
Wow.
emotionally, spiritually because of that. So the idea is that through the power of music you can learn how to release that. And if 3 minutes are a good time for you to feel good, imagine how you can enjoy life from 3 minutes to 3 hours to 3 days to 3 weeks to beyond.
Amazing. Wow. Amazing. Thank you very much. Wow, I get so much for. I didn't expect, to learn so much because you play piano for us. Beautiful. So I want to play a little guitar so I get in my flow state, relaxed. And we were
Yeah,
talking about
that's
that. That's
lovely.
small 5 minutes
Yeah, you're
of
going to
some play. Activate
activate
our relax.
both parts of your brain, and you're going to help us activate both parts of our brain as
Yes,
well. So
yes, 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 yes.
that's beautiful.
Amazing. Just a small part of. Let me see. I like to play any music, and each time I have time, this is what really give me like the pauses that I do every hour when I work is with the guitar and singing. There's a song that my mom played to me since she's a real good singer, and she played to me. She sings and I play for her. Very old song. Pintor, nacido en mi tierra, con el pincel extranjero, pintor que sigue el rumbo de tanto pintor.
Well,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
big hand to you that you play beautiful. Thank you so much for
Thank
giving us
you, thank you.
that beautiful gift of your
Yes,
talent and
just
sharing
just
with
to,
us.
I mean, it's something from my mom actually, and thank you for all the your attention and all the things that you have shared with us and with the audience. And I hope everyone had value in today's podcast with Javier Peña. It was so much. I had so much. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Say bye. Javier.
Bye. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the time, the invitation, and your audience as well. It was a pleasure being with you today. Thank you.
Appreciate it.